Pawn shop inventories are exploding as the failing U.S. economy hammers those at the bottom of the economic food chain, Michael Snyder reports. How much longer will the Biden administration and the mainstream media continue to deny that we are in the midst of a very painful economic downturn? Debt levels have never been higher, delinquency rates are spiking, and commercial real estate market is crashing. The banking industry is mired in turmoil and large companies are conducting mass layoffs all over the nation. Anyone that attempts to claim that the U.S. economy is in good shape is just being delusional. Unfortunately, it's those that are at the bottom of the economic food chain that are being hurt the most. And if you want to know what is really going on with the economy, pawn shops are a great place to look. When the economy is doing well, pawn shop inventories tend to go down because people are not pawning much stuff and there's lots of buying going on. But when the economy is not doing well, pawn shops inventories tend to go up because people are pawning lots of stuff for fast cash and there are not as many buyers as there were during good times. So what we're seeing during the early stages of 2024, one pawn shop owner that was recently interviewed by USA Today admitted that he has a glut of inventory right now. Clay Barron has everything in his pawn shop, from gold rings and pearl necklaces to vintage cowboy boots, silver belt buckles, stereos, and ticking clocks. The only thing he's short on is space. Right now, he says, we have a glut of inventory, Barron said, which tells me that our clientele does not necessarily have money. Accumulating pawn shop inventory means fewer buyers than sellers, a sign that for the lowest income Americans, times remains tough. Now, that same article points out that inventory levels have also grown rapidly at some of the largest pawn shop chains in the entire nation. Two of the largest publicly traded pawn shop corporations in the U.S., which between them own roughly 1,700 pawn shops nationwide, are also reporting growing inventory and increased demand for short-term loans. Fast Cash Holdings, Inc. operates nearly 1,200 pawn shops under the First Cash and Cash America brands in 29 states and the District of Columbia. The company reported record pawn receivables in its most recent year-end earning report and a 10% increase in inventory at its U.S. stores. EasyCore Inc. also owns 530 pawn shops in the U.S. and reported an 8% increase in inventory at U.S. stores in the company's latest earnings report. The challenging macroeconomic backdrop continued to fuel demand for short-term cash loans, the company said. If anyone comes to you and tries to convince you that the economy is doing well, just show them these numbers. And that will be the end of any debate. One of the reasons why so many Americans need fast cash is because debt loads have risen to unprecedented levels. And here's just one example. For Denise and Paul Nerdwicki, credit cards are the only way to make ends meet. The couple, aged 69 and 72, respectively, have about $20,000 in debt spread across multiple cards, all with interest rates above 20%. The trouble started during the pandemic when Denise lost her job and a business deal for a bar that they owned in their hometown of Lexington, Kentucky went bad. They applied for Social Security, which helped, and Denise now works 50 hours a week at a restaurant. Still, they're barely scraping together the minimum payment for their credit card debt. Can you imagine how much stress they must be feeling on a daily basis? Sadly, there are millions of others that are in similar positions. The combination of high debt levels and high interest rates has created a perfect storm of suffering for U.S. consumers, and so it should be no surprise that delinquency rates have been surging. The signs are obvious. Last week we noted that banks' charge-offs are accelerating and are now above pre-pandemic levels. And leading this increase are credit card loans with delinquencies that have not been seen since third quarter of 2011. On top of that, while credit cards and non-farm, non-residential commercial real estate loans drove the quarterly increase in the non-current rate, residential mortgages drove the quarterly increase in the share of loans 30 to 89 days past due. When large numbers of people start getting behind on their mortgages, it's only a matter of time before foreclosures start to spike, and that's precisely what we're witnessing. Home foreclosures rose again in February as Americans continue to grapple with the ongoing cost of living crisis. That's according to a new report published by real estate data provider Atom, which found that there were 32,938 properties in February with foreclosure filings, which includes default notices, scheduled auctions, and bank repossessions. Sadly, things are only going to get worse during the months ahead because the labor market is starting to get very tight. One 26-year-old woman that has multiple degrees has not been able to find a job even though she has already applied for approximately 1,000 different positions. Can you imagine? With multiple degrees. Cheyenne Barton, 26, of Kissimmee, Florida, graduated in December with one degree in biomedical science and another in computer technology and software development, the kind of practical background employers have coveted. She initially targeted software development jobs, but is now looking for really any job where she can use her degrees. Barton has applied for about 1,000 positions, but has not yet notched an interview. Companies say they want recent grads who are teachable and can learn quickly, she says. But when you apply for the job and it's like, oh, we already have over 100 applications with people who are more qualified. Wait a second. Joe Biden told us that the good jobs are easy to find these days. So why can't Cheyenne Barton even get an interview? Something is not adding up. Of course, the truth is that we have seen a major shift in the labor market in recent months. According to Challenger Grain Christmas, the number of layoffs in February was the highest they had ever recorded for that particular month. The pace of job cuts by U.S. employers accelerated in February, a sign the labor market is starting to deteriorate in the face of ongoing inflation and high interest rates. That's according to a new report published Thursday by Challenger Grain Christmas, which found that companies planned 84,638 job cuts in February, a 3% increase from the previous month, and a 9% jump from the same time last year. It marked the highest layoff total for the month of February in data going back to 2009. The outlook for the rest of the year is absolutely dismal, so even more Americans will fall into poverty, and even more Americans will fall into hunger, and even more Americans will end up homeless. The economic suffering of the past couple of years has been a very painful thing, but the truth is that it's not even worth comparing to what is in front of us. Michael Snyder reports on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Michael's new book entitled Chaos, available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon, and you can check out his new Substack newsletter right here. About the author, Michael Snyder, extremely controversial new book, Chaos, available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, the most important news, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and share his articles on your own social media accounts. It's definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.